Now let's dive deep into this big LGBTQ story for today. I'm Eric Restivo, and let's clear up the worldview. The Pope's big brother is MAGA, and Pope says marriage can't be gay. In a troubling development for LGBTQ Catholics and allies, the new Pope Leo XIV's brother is making headlines, and not in a good way. Louis Martin, Lou Prevost, the Pope's older brother, has revealed himself as a supporter of Donald Trump's MAGA movement. According to The Guardian, Prevost's Facebook account recently went private, but not before he posted content that used a vulgar slur to describe former Speaker Nancy Pelosi and promoted a conspiracy theory that her husband, Paul Pelosi, was using Grindr. During an interview with Piers Morgan, Prevost said, quote, "I wouldn't have posted it if I didn't kind of believe it," end quote. Meanwhile, Pope Leo XIV has launched his papacy with a reaffirmation of traditional Catholic teachings that directly exclude LGBTQ families. In a private meeting with the Vatican Diplomatic Corps, the Pope stated that family is, quote, "founded upon the stable union between a man and a woman," end quote. And this isn't new. Back in 2012, he denounced what he called the homosexual lifestyle and alternative families. As Bishop of Chiclayo, Peru, he opposed gender education in schools, saying gender ideology seeks to create genders that don't exist. For many LGBTQ Catholics, this is yet another reminder of how far the Vatican remains from affirming their humanity and love. The LGBTQ community is holding out hope that, like Francis, Pope Leo will lead in moderation and not the radical tones of his brother. And it should also be noted that Pope Francis was also against same-sex marriage, although the now Pope Leo supported Francis in his initiative to lead the Catholic Church in allowing same-sex blessings, as long as they weren't called marriage. So there's a lot to unpack here, and some murky water. As a gay man of faith, I adopt religious views from Christian sides, from Judaism, from Hinduism, from Buddhism, from gayism, from it all. However, what I can't adopt into a spiritual mindset is hate whatsoever. So The Catholic Church has gone so extreme from when I was a young gay boy Catholic raised by my grandmother to what it is now that, although this isn't surprising to me because kind of the popes that we've had are all these kind of thinkers, it's sad, right? It's like we take a step forward and then 4.5 steps back. So I don't know.
Well, for me, as someone, as a trans woman of faith, and I work fervently in my church, you would think that the church, no matter where you go to worship, is your safe place.
Right.
And it's a place of community, and I can find upstanders there, and we're running into the complete bystander. But I always implore people when I come up on this conversation about lifestyle, faith, church, family, get a discernment for your faith and the deity, whoever it is, for yourself.
That's right.
Because oftentimes, as we see now, people are bending the church, the Bible, the whatever to fit their initiative.
Of course, yeah.
So unless you have a discernment of your own, you will be like a chicken with his head cut off. Like, where do I go? What do I do? I don't have
nobody. Because they can survive for a little bit without their head.
For a little bit.
They're chaotic.
But then what do you do? You run into religion and faith crash out and burnout. So
yeah. As someone who's been on staff at Unity on the Bay, a church, but I call it New Age Christian, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, our senior minister is gay, married, has a child. I mean, more than half the staff is gay. So, you know, we're very inclusive, the way I believe a church, a spiritual center should be.
Mm-hmm.
It is unfortunate, and you say not surprising,
right,
that there's been this regression, because, I mean, I know a lot of recovering Catholics. I grew up Methodist, so I don't, you know. But, I mean, I would hearken to what the Catholic Church is overlooking in all the abuse that goes on with altar boys.
Exactly.
I mean, so I don't really hold the Catholic Church to such a high standard when it comes to their beliefs, really.
Right.
They just have a lot of money in the Vatican. Hello.
I'm interested in about this brother of the
MAGA.
And why does he know what Grindr is?
Right, exactly. Lou.
Yes.
Why does he know Grindr?
Right.
The Pope's brother, Lou.
Lou.
he apparently thinks that Pelosi's husband is on Grindr.
Why does he
That's
feel-
why. That's where most of the Republican Party is doing.
Well, I mean, of course, because that's where they find their information. So, I mean,
Yeah.
it's crazy. But you know what? That goes to the dynamic of brothers. I'm completely, vastly different from my brother,
As am
who
I,
is
yeah.
also a Trump supporter. So
Same
that
here,
makes
same here.
it very
I was
hard
going to
for
say
me
it more so goes to like the reflection of the MAGA people,
Yeah.
just like being
Of course.
cuckoo.
And repeating what they've heard rather than what
Right.
they've
The rhetoric that they
anything
read,
they've
yeah.
learned.
Yeah.
You can tell them
right.
anything, they'll run with it.
That's
at least
right.
we have
I
hope
love
with
him
this.
for it.
At least we have hope with this Pope that he doesn't have all the ideologies that the MAGAs has. Hopefully.
And I think we should take the last piece of the story and really kind of just chirp on that for 1 second, because it is true the last Pope was and started the movement of leading the Catholic Church into, whether or not we want to call it marriage, they're not going to allow that word, right? But it's more so a union, right, between
Civil
two men,
union.
a civil
Civil
union.
union.
So although that's not enough for the LGBTQ Catholic community, I hope that if there are any LGBTQ Catholics watching, that maybe is a little bit of hope for you if you're still a practicing Catholic and also within the LGBTQ plus community. So that would be my farewell on this one. And that, honey, is a big LGBTQ story for today. There is no other queer nonprofit media platform like this in the entire world. Support our LGBTQ stories by subscribing and sharing Queer News Tonight